and welcome back to my channel. My name is High Priestess Luna Divine, and today I want to talk about shamanism. I've been studying shamanism for the last 6 years. I actually started studying it when I was like a little girl and I didn't even know what it was, but I've always been fascinated with Native Americans and indigenous tribes and kind of their religion, I guess you could say. It's always just fascinated me, which is kind of what led me to my interest in voodoo and hoodoo, as well as my grandmother, of course. But I've always just really been interested in the way that Native Americans healed their tribes and of their community. So I've studied up a lot. I have not had the opportunity to actually go and learn with a shaman yet, but that's definitely something that I want to do within the next year, just because I feel like that will really kind of seal my experiences and just put the cherry on top, because I've learned a lot studying myself and with myself, just like books and from the library, on the internet, and really just YouTube. I've learned a lot from YouTube also, so thank you, YouTube. But I wanted to talk today kind of just as an introduction to shamanism, because I feel like in America, if you're going to take a sort of holistic healing path, we don't have really the resources that these indigenous tribes have. We can't access psychedelics or really any kind of medicine plant that a lot of shamans use in their healing practices. So we've really kind of had to approach it differently here. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that and how you can heal using your own energy and using your own power, because that's really all we've got to work with. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was, can you see it? This book, The Way of the Shaman. This was my very first book on shamanism, and it's a very great introduction to the path and what to expect, and it has a really good tutorials on entering into the shamanic trance and then finding your spirit guide or your spirit animal and things like that. So this book, Way of the Shaman by Michael Harner, is an excellent resource. There's actually another book that's really good for beginners, and it's called Transcendent Journeys. I actually have the audiobook. I like to listen to that while I'm working, but Transcendental Journeys, and it's by Omahonda. I'm butchering his name, I know I am, but Transcendental Journeys is also a really good introductory book for shamanism. And with this book, The Way of the Shaman, it really starts out just kind of getting you right in it. It's like, hey, you got to do this trance and go to the lower world if you want to learn how to connect with these energies. And then it moves on to connecting with your spirit guide, which you have to go on a spirit quest in order to connect with your spirit guide. And so that's kind of a whole different video. If you want to learn more about going on a spirit quest to meet your spirit guide, please let me know. I would love to go over that. I think it's fascinating. It's a really, really transformational process for anybody. Even if you're not wanting to be a healer, you just kind of want to find yourself, a spirit quest is very helpful for that. Also, with shamanism, I really like the healing part, as far as you can heal psychological and behavioral disorders, whereas therapy, psychiatry, things like that, it's not healing it, it's just treating it. I have a certification in cognitive behavioral therapy, so I am able to counsel people into thinking differently, essentially. But my problem with that is people have a hard time sticking with the different thought patterns. And with shamanism, you are able to essentially pull out the negative energy from this person's body that's causing the psychological or behavioral disorder. So that's what I think. Sorry, my nose is itching. So that's what I think is fascinating about it is just that it has the ability to literally transcend people's physical health and well-being as well as mental health and well-being, which is a lot more transformative than what our medicine currently has here in America, or really any Western countries. You know, Western medicine is focused on killing the disease, killing the cells, whereas shamanism is more of transforming that energy. So you're not getting the chemical exposure that you would for the less natural medicine. And that's really where shamanism just fascinates me, because I've always been interested in medicine and healing, which is what led me ultimately to nursing and then to cognitive behavioral therapy. But since I've been in the medical field for some time, I've really learned that the medical field it's a business. It's not to necessarily help people, it's more for financial revenue. It's for these industries and companies to make money, kind of regardless of the outcome of the patients. And now I know that there are a lot of wonderful doctors, wonderful skilled facilities that are able to heal and treat patients. I'm not necessarily dogging the medical community. I'm just saying, from my experience, I've seen a lot of holes in our medical treatments here in America, and I think that shamanism is a better approach to it, of course, but I also would like to see a lot of the gaps get closed within the medical care that we're providing, because it's not for the help of the patients, it's for the financial gain of the industries, and that breaks my heart. But aside from all of that, that's kind of what led me to an interest in shamanism, is because I've always felt like I need to heal people in order to be happy, and the medical side of it does not necessarily soothe my soul. So I had to look at a different approach, and that's what led me to shamanism. Now, I don't get a lot of necessarily positive feedback from my peers, because they look at shamanism as a form of witchcraft, and honestly, that's kind of empowering to me. I don't necessarily think of witchcraft as a bad thing, because if you fear something, that means it has power over you. Anything that's powerful is feared. So that's kind of why I think of witchcraft, from a healing standpoint, as a beautiful thing. Like, I don't necessarily see it as worshiping the pagan devil and things like that, because that's not really how I believe. I believe that everything is an energy, and the pagan devil is just a negative energy that's affecting someone in a specific way, and that can be healed, or there has to be balance. There has to be just as much good as bad. We have to learn that there's got to be balance in our lives, and balance with ourselves as far as the light and the dark. It's not God versus the devil, it's just you finding your balance. And that's where people kind of get, when they start to fear the witchcraft aspect of things, they're like, oh, she's worshiping the devil. And it's not that at all. It's really more of just transforming these energies. And that's kind of why I am more interested in approaching shamanism in a holistic healing aspect, because I think that it can transform the way people look at holistic healing, shamanism, even witchcraft. There's such a stigma on this aspect, and there really doesn't need to be. It should be more open to the community, so that we can start helping our community with more natural healing, to ultimately, make that transition as far as combining shamanism with modern medicine, or bringing shamanism into the modern medicine world. And it's already being introduced as far as the psychedelics being legalized, MDMA being legalized. Those are absolutely forms of shamanism. Like, I think that's such a beautiful thing. But anyways, sorry I went off on that little rabbit hole. I got some notes on my phone. Let me look and see. Okay, so just the basics of shamanism. What shamanism is essentially is this person, I think that a shamanism has to be very connected with themselves in order to be able to perform a shamanic ritual. What shamans do is they essentially meditate. They have drums or a rattle or a didgeridoo that they listen to in the background. So whenever I do this, I have it on my phone and I listen to it with headphones because I'm not in South America and I don't have access to someone playing drums in the background, obviously. So I kind of have to do it my own way and make do with what I've got for right now. So I listen to my headphones and listen to shamanic drumming. The author of this book actually has YouTube pieces of where he's playing the drums for a trance. So thank you, Michael Harner, you've saved my life. But what you do is you lay there and you have to meditate for a minute to get all your thoughts out of your head, because I struggle with this, getting in the zone for the trance. So you have to wait till your brain is, or your mind is pretty much just cleared out. And then the drum, you kind of follow the drum beat. Like, it literally takes you on a little bit of a journey and you go into a trance. And I know that sounds crazy, but this music will put you in a trance. It really will. And so in the trance, you travel to the lower world. And so the concept of this is whenever you get to the lower world, you have your spirit guide that you found on your spirit quest or that you've met. Some of you may already been introduced to your spirit guide, which is awesome. And so they will meet you in the lower world, and that's your opportunity to discuss with them your concern or your reason for the trance. Like if you are, you need to heal someone, it's kind of like your counsel, I would say. You would go to the lower world to kind of decipher how you would heal them, or if you need to go there and heal them, you can, because you have access to other people's lower selves in the lower world. So you can go to the lower world. Their lower self is kind of where they harbor the negative energy. And so you would go to them, you'd go to the lower world and find this person and get their negative energy out of their lower self, which essentially heals their being on the physical plane, which is here on earth. So whenever you go to the lower world, you heal their negative energy, but you actually bring it back with you. So that way it doesn't find that person again, right? So we are kind of a carrier of this negative energy, and that's where you've got to be careful, because whenever you're whenever you're transitioning this negative energy from this one person, you want to make sure that you clean yourself and you get rid of it properly, so that you're not absorbing that energy, because that could very well happen, and then that creates a dormant of problems for you. So whenever you are coming back to your physical body, whenever you return, you have to do a cleansing and healing meditation to get rid of the negative energy and transmute it back into the earth as a positive energy. So I can do that in another video if you would be more interested in learning how to do like the transmutation of energy, or just how you get energy out of someone's lower self or out of their being. It's kind of like Reiki. So with Reiki healing, essentially what it is you are taking your energy into someone else's body, and you are using your energy to transmute their energy and transform it into a brighter energy. And so that's essentially how shamanism works from a certain standpoint. There's honestly so many different ins and outs to shamanism. It's a little more complex than just like shaking the rattles, and dancing around the fire. A big part of shamanism is the rituals, like honoring your ancestors ritual. I just uploaded a video of how I honor my ancestors. That's actually just one of the ways. That way was really simple. It was kind of just a like if you're just getting started and you just want to show your appreciation and show thanks, that's a good way to honor them, is just going to the graveyard and leaving a fruit or some flowers or something, because the graveyard is a place where the souls can rest. And so if you're going to a graveyard, you're showing them that you're willing to meet them halfway. And who doesn't want like appreciation? You know, I feel like it bonds you with your ancestors and your spirit guides and give you a better connection. But any way to honor your ancestors is really beneficial to your connection with them, especially from a shamanistic standpoint, because you want to be connected with your spirit guide. You want to be connected with your higher self so that you are able to perform fail-proof, accurate healings and readings on people. Because shamans are also like mediums between the higher realm, physical plane, which is where we are, and then the lower realm. And so shamans can visit these other realms while in their trance. So essentially, if you need to know how something is going to play out, or if you need to know really what's the best option or choice for you for this situation, a shaman can either connect with their spirit guide and ask, or go and visit their spirit guide on the higher or the lower plane. And whenever they ask them, the spirit guide, of course, knows a little bit more than we do about how stuff is going down. So that's a really good way to utilize a shaman in your area, or approach shamanism yourself to kind of just have a better overlook on the bigger picture. And shamans are also able to, in the trance, astral travel, which I think is really, really fun. And it's really just, it's so eye-opening to see that there's so much more to this world than what meets the eye, literally. Like, there's so much more than what's going on outside, and it's just really fascinating to get to learn more about that and get to kind of get my feet wet with the spiritual side of the world, of the universe. So that's really it for my introduction to shamanism. I'm sorry if I was kind of all over the place. I made notes on my phone and everything, but I just like started talking and I just spilled. So if you have any questions on shamanism, feel free to email me or comment below. I plan on making a few more videos on different healing techniques that shamans use, different approaches that shamans use in their trances, and things like that, just so if anyone is wanting to learn about shamanism, I feel like I have enough I've read enough resources and have enough resources in my head to share some of the knowledge. And also, whenever I do go on my first retreat to study with the shamans, I would like to I'm not going to get any footage of the rituals or anything like that, but at least kind of take some pictures of what they have there, just so you guys can get a feel of what it's like to be an actual shaman out in the jungle. Just kidding. Alright, have a good day.